Hey there. Hi and howdy, everybody. It's your boy, JRG. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Got some energy.
Oh, I dig it, dude. That's
Yeah.
nice this morning.
Feeling good. So, Thursday morning, where we be. We're down here in the Geekdom Underground podcast studio. Again, JRG. I'm here with my boy.
Thank you, Mr. JRG. What's up, everybody? Good morning. My name is Philip Hernandez. I'm COO here at Geekdom, and we're super excited for today's episode of Geekdom Underground. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the one responsible for Pinch, an amazing restaurant at the bottom of the Rand, and another location actually that we'll talk about here shortly.
Whoa.
And then also one of the masterminds behind Curry Boys Barbecue, which is an amazing place. So we're super excited to get after it today. Welcome, Mr. Sean Wen.
Wow. Our live audience, dude.
I know. Oh, say hi to the people.
They need to be quiet first.
Yes. Oh, man. It's a long clap track.
Yes.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me, man. I love y'all.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, Sean. So we're going to get right after it. We like to keep it casual in here and keep them underground.
Wow.
But if you would, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get here?
Yeah. So I'm a transplant, I moved here I think it's been 6 years now, which is kind of crazy. It's the longest place I've ever lived outside
Dang.
of growing up in the Houston.
Hey.
Houston,
That's
shout
the
out.
hometown. But yeah, I moved here 6 years ago. To be transparent, didn't think I'd be here for longer than I was finishing up a fellowship program here, and I thought when it ended, I'd be out of here. But it's home. I love it. It's been an incredible 6 years, and all thanks to Geekdom.
Get out of
Hey,
town.
God, what a nice
Yeah.
shout out.
No, I mean, that's real. I was here for a couple years. I was working here for a couple years, so it was a formative experience. So it's the reason why I'm actually I've stayed here.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So you grew up in Houston.
Grew up in the H.
Were you born there?
I was born in Dallas.
Oh, okay. And then quickly moved over to Houston?
Quickly moved over to the H. I just keep calling it
The H.
That's
the
okay.
Houston.
That's okay. Now, Houston is I've been to Houston numerous times, and every time I go to Houston, I feel like I'm in a totally different city because it's just really big, and it's kind of like they have smaller, I don't even know what to call them.
Suburbs.
Yeah, suburbs of it. So which part of Houston were you from?
I was from the Cypress area. So there you go. It's just it's like a bunch of cities in a city essentially. And so I'm really the greater Houston metropolitan area.
Chill.
You know what I mean? Is where I'm from.
Yeah.
I cannot technically claim Houston from Cypress, but
yeah. And when you were over there, was restaurants something that you had thought about getting into, or what were you really into that led you to the fellowship that brought you here?
Honestly, man, I have always dreamt of having something in food and beverage because I just always thought it was so cool. Even before it became what it is today. It's this glorified, amazing experience to be in. It's not all that, but before Food Network really took off, and kind of pushed that agenda of dude, being in food is sick. I just had always loved food, and then I would read about these really cool chefs or just eat my mom's food all the time, and I'd be in the kitchen helping her. And so it was just always oh man, it'd be cool if I could do this. But also I'm Asian, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm Asian.
Spoiler alert.
My parents were super conservative, and they're what we know coming to America is kids like you need to start studying to go to school, to be a doctor, lawyer, to work in finance. So I just thought that was what you did. So every other notion of oh yeah, you should be in food or you should be in music or whatever, I was nah, those are hobbies.
Yeah.
Those are things that you just do. And so it was never a reality until maybe honestly 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, your adult life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so you said your mom was a good cook.
The best.
Really?
Best.
Well,
And-
everyone says that, but no, she's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Did both your parents cook?
When my dad cooks, I'm like, yo, what happened? But it's always delicious. But I'm always like, damn, like someone pissed somebody off today.
What's a staple that your mom cooks?
So she used to do these like ribs that we love. These like little short ribs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was incredible. She like braised them and then would marinate them like overnight. It was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Did she teach you how to cook?
She I wouldn't say like formally, but yeah, I mean, just I guess being in there enough or like asking her questions, you kind of just pick things up along the way.
Just being around.
Yeah,
All that stuff.
for sure.
Right on. So what was the fellowship that you joined?
Yeah, I joined a fellowship called Venture for America.
Shout out
For sure. Yeah, so that's what brought me to the city.
That was what, 2015, 2016?
I moved here in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I spent my first year at the fellowship in Baltimore.
Oh, what were you doing up there?
I worked at a cybersecurity startup and then quickly realized like, you know, being in VFA kind of gave me the confidence to be like, yo, like I guess like I'm like a pretty risk averse dude.
Mhm.
So I was always like starting something like heck no. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I could never do that. But then seeing like my peers, the people that are in the fellowship with me, starting their own things, like it gave me a lot of confidence to say, you know, like maybe I should pursue this thing that Andrew Ho, my co-founder, partner, like best friend I grew up with in Houston, he had this idea for years when we were in college. And I was always like, dude, like we need to do real things in life.
Yeah.
Food isn't real, bro.
Yeah, cool idea,
Yeah,
dude.
dude, what is this, a crawfish shack? Horrible idea. So, but yeah, I mean, but like seeing my friends do it in BFA, Venture for America, I was like, dude, like maybe we should just give this a shot.
Yeah,
So-
just try it out.
Just try it out. Yeah.
So from Baltimore, come to San Antonio. What was your landing spot? Where did you work?
I worked at Geekdom.
Right on. What did you do?
I was a membership manager.
Dang, shout
Hey,
out.
wow. That's what's up.
Under the wing of the GOAT, Lorenzo Gomez.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So membership manager. And at what point did Pinch become like something that you were even entertaining?
So like I had moved here with the idea that I wanted to start that. So it was just like always in the back of my head. But we started just doing like pop-ups. Andrew has his F-150 that's like 8,000 years old.
Yes.
And so like we just literally would throw crawfish boilers, a tent, and like a couple of tables, and we would just pull up and like sell and slang crawfish. So we did that for like a year before we became like somewhat more legit and like realized that we should probably put a little more thought into what we were doing.
Yeah.
Outside just like skirt, yo wants crawfish. You know what I mean? But like it was always, to be fair, it was always something that we were working on the second I moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was he here, Andrew?
He moved from Vietnam to live here. Yeah.
Wow.
That's one thing about you and Andrew, but Andrew specifically is he's lived in like so many different places and he has stories, and he was like a teacher right, an English teacher for a while.
Yeah, he spent, so he was supposed, like we both graduated from UT, and then, you know, I worked in finance and he worked as an engineer, and he was like, oh, you know, I'm like not feeling this engineering thing. I'm just gonna like teach English for 7 months, like realign, you know, like my beliefs or my ideals and kind of see what I want. Yeah. And then that ended up being 3 years. He just stayed there. And I, to be completely honest, I always joke with him. I'm like, dude, if we didn't ever start this, you'd still be there.
Yeah.
I think he would.
Yeah.
But yeah, he moved here, and it's just so we can all start this. You're like living on my living room floor on this IKEA mat. Shout out IKEA.
Shout out. Dude, we need to get them to sponsor.
I know.
Sponsored by IKEA. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, you got the voice for it too.
Yeah, dude. So then, so you're here, Andrew's here, y'all are doing pop-ups.
Yeah.
And you realize that like this is something that we should actually pursue. What was the like, what was the reception like? Like, were people liking it? Were people showing up?
Yeah. I mean, so it was kind of a new, like we were doing crawfish, which people are obviously familiar with, but we were doing it like the way we've just eaten in Houston, which I guess is now known to be called Viet Cajun style crawfish. And so I think there was definitely a learning curve. or like, people realizing that it's not that different than just your traditional Cajun crawfish boil. So like there was that beginning period where people were like, oh, I don't know, I was just like, get something else.
Yeah.
But then I think once people realize like it's not that different, the flavors are still like semi approachable and like relatable, then it started like just kind of taking off. And so we just would slang more and more crawfish. And then we had this fortunate opportunity to open up back in the Rand.
Hey,
and so I was like, say less.
Say less.
So let's talk about that transition.
Yeah.
From doing pop-ups to having a pretty amazing location downtown San Antonio.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fairy tale Cinderella story type thing. And I think that part of it is that like it was just right place, right time, hustling, doing all the right things, right conversations.
For sure.
But there's got to be stuff that we don't see, stuff that we don't hear about. What was one of the challenges that y'all faced?
I mean, look, I'll outright say it. I would never
hot take
recommend anyone start a restaurant. It is just so capital intensive. There's so many moving parts. Like it's really not all that it's chalked up to be. I mean, sure, it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, but it's like by far the hardest and most stressful thing I've ever done. And so like every possible thing we could have messed up on along the way, we did it and then some. Like I'm talking original menu scrapped, original staff, obviously, like we had to let go of some people because it was like super slow at first. I think there was one point where I sat down with Andrew and I was like, dude, I'm 1 week away from tossing in that towel and calling it like a day. I'm done. And that was like within the first 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. And so I just remember thinking that I was like, man, like I don't know if this is worth it.
Yeah.
And like we had put in we just bootstrapped the whole thing. So I'd put in like essentially 80% of everything I owned to my name.
Yeah.
And then the notion of having to maybe put in more to keep this thing afloat, I was like, I don't know. Is that really worth it?
Yeah.
So it was tough, man. It's still tough. Don't get me wrong. But there's just like so much you don't know. And there's so much that you underestimate when it comes to something like a restaurant. Because on paper, it's a pretty easy formula. Like there's just costs that you have to think about and what you price something at and how you make something. But like there's just so many moving parts. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of variables.
So many.
When you had that conversation with Andrew, and I'm assuming that was a real conversation, not a metaphorical.
No, it was super real.
When you had that real conversation of like, hey, I'm a week away from throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
What kept you from doing that?
I think a part of me wanted to make like I mean, not just me, but Andrew and myself wanted to make some super drastic changes just to see if that would kind of shake, move the needle in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I think the real answer is like I took like 2 weeks off and went to Sri Lanka, just like removed myself from the situation.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. And I was just like, yo, Andrew, like just give me 2 weeks. Let me freaking think about everything that's happening and not in this setting and do a little like, I don't know, meditation or whatever you want to call it. You know? And like also my emotional well-being was just like shot. So I was like, dude, I need some time to just think about this. And then when I came back, I was like, all right, let's give one last shot. And that's kind of what we did.
That's awesome.
Goosebumps, dude.
Yeah. For real. So at some point, like y'all went from getting notoriety from, the locals and really people who already knew who you were.
Yeah.
But people were giving you praise and like you'd come out in like The Current or something like local stuff. But at some point you started getting more notoriety, like
on Eater and like all these like huge like pages. Man.
Yeah, I know y'all traveled. You went to like New York.
Oh yeah,
went to all these different places. How did all that start?
So like I have this thing that I always tell myself, and I tell Andrew all the time, where I'm like, everything takes time, but beyond that, like consistently. Like if you do things consistently the right way over time, it is so hard to fail because it's just like you're around, people see it, like they're going to hear about it. And if assuming you're doing things the right way, like why wouldn't they eventually want to try it or do it depending on if it's not food or beverage, whatever it is, right? So I'm just like, if we can keep grinding and keep putting in work the right way, like I think over time people will hear about this. And so like that's kind of what it was. It was just like this very organic growth of like, okay, we were blessed to get some features from the Current or SA Mag or Express News, and then over time, these things, as they keep happening, you get picked up by Texas Monthly or by Eater or something like that. And so I think it's just, and then because of that, people are reaching out, hey, you want to do a pop up here, or you want to do something with us here? And so it's one of those things where it's like you just have to keep pushing in the right direction. I mean, if you're pushing in the wrong direction, like there's no point in doing it if you're gonna do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that like that's a real kind of like self audit you have to give yourself. Like, am I doing this the right way? If not, then I need to pull out.
Yeah.
But for us, we knew that because we saw things were trending in the right direction, that like, okay, I think we're finally doing what we need to do. Like, let's just keep doing that and keep improving. And I think over time it ended up paying off. So, yeah.
What was the most surprising time you saw your name published?
Geekdom Underground.
Hey,
let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, hold on.
Dude, clip that. No, but really.
I don't know. Like I don't do a good job of appreciating kind of what's happening. I know I need to be taking like a step back sometimes to appreciate everything. I don't know. I don't like getting caught up, and I don't even read those articles or watch that stuff.
I'm just gonna say, man, if you don't want to toot the horn, I will.
Go ahead. I don't even know what you're about to say, so I'm nervous.
Dude, when Andrew Yang shouted you out, that was crazy. Everyone was like, whoa. I heard everyone was talking about it. That was super cool.
That was wild for sure.
Yeah, I mean, on a national like stage, right? I mean, just that was super cool. And then just I think it started off, like you said, locally with San Antonio, and then it was like Houston, and then got Texas Monthly, and then it went to like pretty much global at this point.
I don't know about that, John.
No, but that's awesome. At what point did because we talked about the low when you're like, I'm a week away from throwing in the towel.
For sure.
At what point were you like, all right, I think we can do this?
Like,
or are you not there yet?
I don't know if I'm there. I don't know if I'm like the thing about this industry is it's so fickle. Like it's dependent on so many things that are out of your control. So I'm like, dude, like pandemic is a great example. I'm like, you could be killing it, and then in a heartbeat, this is, I mean, it's the same for a lot of people in different industries, but it was just like a wake-up call, like, oh my God, like this could end tomorrow. And so I'm just kind of like, make hay while the sun is shining. Like, yo, let's look what's up. Like, we'll just keep doing what we're doing now. But I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know how long it'll be. I'm just kind of capitalizing in the moment.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah. Is this where you are now with 2 locations of Pinch, Curry Boys Barbecue? Is this where you thought that you would be?
Wow, the hard-hitting question.
I know.
Phil. Like, it's weird. Equal parts yes and no. So like yes, in terms of like I knew I've always, like I said, I've always wanted to be a part of this hospitality industry.
Yeah.
I wanted to really be a part of that community. But I guess what I didn't realize is like how much I would actually be a part of not just the food and beverage community, but like in the San Antonio community. That's just not, I didn't expect that in a positive way. I mean, I was like, dang, like the city has really embraced us, and like I it's like super humbling to kind of recognize that, and I'm super grateful. I never thought that I would feel that way, and like it's such a fulfilling feeling. And I never felt like that every morning I wake up. I'm like, yo, this is so dope. Like, the city's dope. Like the people, like you guys are dope. So that part I never would have realized or like even thought about. Just sick.
Do you cook yourself?
I say yes. My girlfriend would say otherwise. She's like, you don't cook enough. I would like to cook more for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you, if you could serve anybody at one of your restaurants,
dead or alive,
who would you want to serve? Either. Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
And
why?
Bill Murray would be fun. I just think he'd be like a fantastic dinner guest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With incredible stories.
Yeah.
Sure. Hopefully he's not like too old and senile now.
Yeah.
But...
He's actually bring him in.
Yeah. Come on.
What, you guys? What is this? The Ellen show?
Yeah, right.
We were hoping you'd say Guy Fieri. So Guy, come on in.
Come on.
Yeah. Wow. Other than that, wow, that's tough. Maybe like Obama.
Yeah, nice.
That'd be cool.
Is there anybody you have served that
Obama?
That you? Obama.
Dang.
Is there anybody who has eaten your food? Anyone in your restaurants or anything like that? That was just really honorable,
Dude, JRG,
memorable.
Yeah, JRG is definitely up there.
Just kidding.
There've been a couple athletes that have come by that I've been like, oh man, like I'm a huge basketball head, so you know, a bunch of basketball players I've eaten there that I've looked up to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also just I think what is like the most rewarding is whenever just people in the food and beverage industry that I look up to as like chefs here come and enjoy the food. I'm like, yo, that's sick. Like,
yeah.
I feel so happy when that happens. Like that's super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about I mean, we talk about the great stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I like going into the hard stuff, right?
Yeah, let's get juicy.
Yeah, let's do that. So the pandemic was really hard for everybody.
Yeah.
I think
for sure.
Definitely hit the food and beverage industry really hard. I don't know how y'all handled it, but what was that like for you?
Wow. Sponsored by all right, so like I guess we can break it down. You know what I mean? Like on a personal level, it was devastating.
Yeah.
I didn't know. There was a moment when I fully realized what was happening. I was like, oh man, like I might need to just work a job again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like go interview at places because we had closed. I think in like our March 28th, we had closed with no foreseeable future in terms of reopening date. Yeah. So I was like, oh well, man, if we don't ever reopen, and it was like then March, then it was April, then May, and we're still closed. So I was like, okay, well, my mental wasn't where it was supposed to be. I was just like super down in the doldrums, just not like wasn't sure what was happening. So that was tough. But I think also like the silver lining was that kind of gave us an opportunity to just work on things that we never would have had the time to do. So like that's how Curry Boys, came to be. It was like an inception baby. Wow. Pandemic baby.
Yeah.
That was something that we had just talked about for years, but we never had the time to think about it because we were so enveloped in like the day-to-day at Pinch. So when we had the time to kind of sit down and flesh out what that concept would look like, we were like, oh, let's just give it a shot. We'll do like a contactless kind of pickup pop-up version of what this concept would be. And that ended up, working out pretty well. But in terms of like the other angle is the restaurant, the business itself was like, again, like that was, I wouldn't say in shambles, but it was just like put on this like indefinite hiatus. And so that means like the tough questions are like, okay, well, what do you do with staff?
Yeah.
And like, this is where it kind of gets juicy because like, I think a lot of people in the industry there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of ego, for better or for worse. And so like there was this thing going around where it was like, yo, no one should fire their employees. Like, I'm gonna keep paying for them. Like, I'm a good boss, you know. And I remember thinking of that and being like, dude, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not fire, but furlough, right?
Mhm.
And so I was like, why would you not furlough your employees if you know they could be making more on unemployment, like the disaster relief unemployment,
Yeah.
and just promising them a spot when we reopen.
Yeah.
But I think there was like this because I remember people would DM us and being like, wow, did you like what did you do with your are you paying your employees? I'm like, hey, I don't know how to answer this because the short answer is no. Like
Yeah.
we let all of them go. But the long answer is like, dude, like they're better off in this situation than they are if I were to be like, no, yeah, we continue to pay our staff. Because like they just wouldn't make enough.
Yeah.
And so like we ended up, it was tough because I was like, yo, like we're gonna let everyone go. And we helped everyone, we helped set everyone up with unemployment. And like, if this is how you do it, we'll sit down and do it together. And then when we reopen, like you have a spot. And so like I felt like that was financially the best decision for our employees. And I think to this day it was, but like again, it's interesting because there's just like two pretty intense or really one intense camp of like, no, like we're not firing anybody, we're keeping everyone on board. So it was interesting because there was like this cognitive dissonance of like what I read on IG, like, oh yeah, like we've kept everyone, like we're really proud, like thank you for supporting us, and then knowing like, wow, I just let everybody go. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're all really, really grateful for that because they're all still on the team. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What a difficult spot.
it's crazy.
We talk about a lot of places that closed, including your restaurant that
Yeah.
closed during the pandemic. But you mentioned it earlier, you also opened a restaurant
Mhm.
during the pandemic, during one of the most difficult times of the pandemic. What was that like?
I maybe we were just like had cabin fever and we're really bored
Yeah.
and we're like, let's just do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like a really not well thought out decision. I mean, it was, but I think the way we thought about it was, you know, the community at large is going through an extremely difficult time, including ourselves. So, like, if we can somehow inject a little bit of normalcy and do it in a way that is, uh, I guess, COVID safe, then it's kind of like future proof in the sense that, like, we've built a restaurant that was designed to be eaten to go if you wanted to, or it could be delivered, or you could enjoy it on the spot, but it'll just be outdoors,
Yeah.
and so like that was kind of, and it was in an extremely small footprint. It's like 250 square feet. It's a shoebox,
Yeah.
but it's like we don't need much more than that if we're not going to have a dining room,
Mhm.
and everything's going to be essentially served to go, so we don't need a huge dish pit.
Mhm.
So, like, I think after thinking about like, it just made sense. I was like, okay, we can still provide the community something dope and fun and unique and new in terms of flavor, but do it in like a safe way that even after the pandemic, the model will still make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has it been successful for you?
I would say largely it's been really a super positive experience. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's super cool. Like, just to add from my experience, seeing you kind of said it and it resonated. It's like people enjoy it in their own way, however they want. They can go and like show up in pajama pants and like grab it and then leave, because they're gonna go eat it on the couch. Like, me and Philip and Charles and Ja, what's up, Ja? We'll go, and like sit at the tables and or you can go and like to Little Death across the street and
You
get
got
some
it.
wine, and like it's just really cool. It kind of creates this cool vibe for sure.
Yeah. We always joke, we call it the Bermuda Triangle because it's just so easy to get lost in the sauce.
Oh.
You go to Little Death and you go to Midnight Swim. Before you know it, it's like 2 a.m. and you're singing karaoke or something. I don't know.
It's so funny, man. So I barbecue a lot. I don't know if you know, but
I don't know.
I get
I'm just kidding.
people ask me all the time when they come to San Antonio, what's the barbecue joint to try? And I always recommend Curry
Dude,
Boys.
thank you.
Yes,
from
absolutely.
an acclaimed pit master as yourself, that means the world. It really does. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm all honesty, because there's Texas barbecue you can find anywhere in Texas.
Yeah.
And it's good. You can find good barbecue anywhere in Texas. But what y'all are doing is totally different, and it's awesome. So
thank you, man.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Guys.
Yeah.
Shout out Bill Miller.
I want
to tune in next
Bill.
week. Yeah, bring him in. Oh my god.
I want to talk about your marketing.
Dude, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
Is this because you guys are in a video?
Yes and no. But the marketing that you do, in particular for Curry Boys, it's been different.
Yeah.
and I don't know. That's the only way I can.
Dude, it's so funny.
It's been different. So let me try and put it in like a nutshell. But you've had anything from like a play on like a cheesy lawyer commercial to an NBA championship celebration to a full-on rap music video where you rapped. And
no, it was Lil Curry Boy.
I'm sorry.
My name is Sean.
I'm sorry. Lil Curry Boy had the feature and with a sick beat, by the way.
Dude, JRG, shout out JRG.
And then also you've had a telemarketing
the QVC
video, the QVC-esque video.
You guys did y'all kill. Look, anyone listening, you gotta go and watch the QVC spinoff with Philly Phil and JRG.
Excuse me, that wasn't me.
That was Smoky Vibes.
That was Smoky Vibes.
Oh, and liquid
water.
If we're being honest. I'm Philip Hernandez. This is JRG.
Liquid Waters.
Yeah, this is Smoky Vibes.
Y'all gotta watch that, man. That was one of the funniest things ever.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? Where does it come from? And I know the answer, but is it successful?
I think like in terms of creating content and like having people interact, it's successful. I haven't actually seen dollar for dollar if it's added any value, maybe zero. But in terms of like interactions and engagement, quite successful.
Which is brand recognition. It's like what y'all are known for now.
Yeah, it was something that I really wanted to do with Pinch, and we had done it with Pinch a couple of times, but I think like given the market demographic of Pinch, it's very much just like, at least now, right? It's just very much just like come in, get your food at lunch. It's different, it's unique, and it's good, but then you go back to work, and that's just kind of what Pinch became, because we did that. Remember, again, like the whole like 1 week before I quit, like before I throw in the towel kind of thing. We did that because we had to survive.
Yeah,
like we had a totally different idea of what Pinch was supposed to be, and it was more along the lines of like the culture of Curry Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think it's like that different than Pinch, but also like the audience is different.
Yeah.
And so knowing that we could open up Curry Boys on the Strip, like it's a more kind of forgiving place to be, debaucherous in some occasions, or comedic in some occasions, or like slapstick silly. And so like that is genuinely kind of who Andrew and I are.
Yeah.
And so to be able to just have that be an extension of like our weird creative thoughts, and then getting people like you guys involved that's just like it makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
Because then every time I think about, wouldn't it be hilarious? You know what? Let me just text John. Let me just see if he's down to do this video. And usually he's like, yeah, I'll be there.
For sure, dude.
For sure, dude. I'm there. And so, shout out Chris Leal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out.
He does like all this stuff just for funsies for us too. And so,
amazing
love that guy.
Video editor and
amazing
videographer. Yeah, he does awesome work.
At Shufflebang, if you want to follow him.
For
That's
sure.
true.
Shout out Shufflebang.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show. We gotta get him on.
Yeah, we should bring him on. Actually, he's got some.
He's got interesting stories
for sure. For sure.
So when you're not like opening badass restaurants and like being an eater in Texas Monthly, Wall Street Journal, and going to New York, and when you're
going
when you're not saving the world with your culinary superpowers, what do you do?
Oh, dude, I'm a boring dude. I almost cussed. I'm a boring guy.
It's okay. You can curse on it. I don't think there's children
For
listening.
sure.
But yeah, so you're a boring guy. Should we have made this 20 minutes? This episode?
Bill Murray, come on in.
Yeah.
When you say you're a boring guy, I think that's relative.
Yeah.
But what is it that you do on your off time?
I mean, look, I love patronizing, other local restaurants and like, seeing what's good. I mean, I love the food scene here, so I eat a lot like out.
Yeah.
Trying new restaurants and stuff. I play a lot of basketball, like 4 times a week. My body hates it.
Yeah. Pickup games, or you just play yourself, or
a little bit of both. Like
Yeah.
if we usually have like some schedule, like we rent out some friends will rent out some gyms and we'll go and play. Like there's like 15 of us and we'll play 5-on-5 for like 2 hours or something.
Nice.
But if that's not happening, or a day that that's not happening, I'll just go to like Gold's Gym or something and shoot around for a couple hours. So I do that a lot. And then I mean, I guess what's interesting is, we have a bunch of homies at Bear Goods, and so they have like this kind of offshoot thing called this Bear Movie Club. And so they'll put on like a 16mm projector, and we'll go to Jefferson Bodega, grab some snacks, and watch like the, I don't know, Psycho or something on 16mm film. Like that's something we do a lot on the weekends, kind of hang out. So other than that, though, man, I'm lounging, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You work real hard, so you got to rest hard.
I mean, between shooting these videos.
Yeah. Do we have any videos to look forward to that are being storyboarded right now?
Yes.
Ooh.
How soon?
I mean, you're gonna have to follow to find out.
I
Hey.
was just gonna, invite you guys to be on another one. Like,
Oh,
Hey.
nice, dude. I mean, we'd be down. I mean, I can talk to Smokey.
Yeah, I can hit up Liquid.
And see if
Liquid
we
Waters and Smoky Vibes back at it, part 2.
See if we can get after it again. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That, and then we've got like a t-shirt release popping off soon, Curry Boys. So we'll probably do a little video to release those. But
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out the Curry collabs.
Oh, thanks.
Like, because that's what it is, right? And
Yeah.
I think when we initially, I remember having conversations at Pinch about you wanting to do that stuff with Pinch, and you did. I mean, you did some cool stuff with Pinch. You're still doing cool stuff with that.
Yeah.
But with Curry Boys, it seems like it like really took off. So there's like t-shirt collabs with like RH, that boy.
Dude, Ryan Hunter, big time shout out. He's a design god.
Yeah, anything you see from like local coffee, he's responsible for that. Shout out for Lorenzo Gomez's book, The Rack We Built. He did that book cover. He's just doing awesome stuff. But so I see you like he was already doing great on his own, but kind of like putting on these other creatives in town, like with Chris Liao, RH, and so that's cool. Tell us a little bit more about that if you can.
Man, like that's one of the things I had talked about earlier that I didn't expect. It was like just being a part of that community, a part of just the SA community at large.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to do though was to really shine a light on some people that like I wish I would have had a light like shown on me. So I was like, man, let me just pick up dope creatives along the way and like find fun ways to collaborate with them, whether it's people that I look up to or it's people that I'm trying to put on. We got this boy Eddie, he's a dope designer, he's done some sick t-shirts for us too. And we've got a new one coming actually.
Hey,
dropping soon.
Nice.
That was horrible. Why did I do that? That was so bad.
No, I mean, we can fix it in post.
Yeah, fix it in post.
I mean, this is live.
Yeah, it is live. Sorry. My bad.
But yeah, like just I love putting people on in the community, and it's just also it's a lot of fun, like the rap video we did. Marcus, that's his government name. Government name is Marcus. He might not like that.
yeah. Whoops.
No, I love that guy. Marcus had been an employee at Pinch for years, and I knew he was like a local rapper. I mean, he bigger than that. He was kind of blowing up and doing his own thing. Blues is his name. So like, I thought it would just be cool, just because he's done so much for us, to do something to kind of put him on too, and show him some love. So that's just kind of like what we do. If it's a dope designer, I'm like, yo, let's do a t-shirt. If it's a a cool company that I look up to, I'll reach out and be like, yo, would it be cool if we did a pop-up and collab on something? And so it really is just like it's an excuse to have a lot of fun, but also like to really be a part of the community.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll just give a quick thanks to you. I do credit the work that I did with Pinch back when I was like always had the camera.
For sure.
It was always like, hey, come take some photos. And
yeah.
that really helped me kind of like get a following and start doing photo gigs and stuff. So without you, dude, I mean, and then you also trained me to work at Geekdom. So I can go on for hours.
That's also like, dude, I quote unquote trained him, but he was like better at it after week 1. I was trash.
You stop, dude. Stop.
Yeah, he's a legend.
He is a legend.
There it is.
That's for sure.
There it is, live audience.
Let's talk about, we know the Pinch that we know and love is here at the bottom of the Rand.
Yeah,
actually it's above us.
Oh, hey,
Geekdom Underground, but there's a new location.
There is.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we're probably like 2.5 to 3 weeks away from opening.
Really?
Exclusive.
That is soon.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was that soon.
And it'll be on the moon. Shout out Jeff Bezos, sponsored by
dude, the crater.
It'll be in Alamo Heights. Yeah,
okay.
Off of Broadway, like a stone's throw from Central Market off of Broadway.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
What led to that decision?
We had wanted another Pinch in a different location that was, I guess, a more traditional restaurant experience. Because like in downtown, it is what it is, but it's just like people come here to work.
Yeah,
they don't stay for dinner and because they go home.
Mm-hmm.
So like we wanted a more traditional restaurant experience where people could come eat lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
And so we thought Alamo Heights was it's right on the cusp of Alamo Heights, where we thought that was just a great location for a neighborhood because it's accessible for those people who are still living in downtown, like myself.
Yep.
But it's also like kind of in a neighborhood where if people wanted to have something weekly as like their go-to spot, like we could be that. And there's just not a lot of Asian food in Alamo Heights either.
Yeah.
And so we figured that or really in San Antonio, but we figured like that's something that we could provide for that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's close to UIW, Trinity, all those areas too. That's really great. How is it being having an Asian food restaurant in a city where there's not that much?
It's bittersweet in the sense that I think the city is more diverse than a lot of people give it credit for, right? And it's not just like, oh, there's a lot of Mexican Americans or Hispanic. Like it's diverse. Like there's a lot of different kinds of people here from different cultures. But I also think on that same note, it's a lot of people aren't ready or willing to admit that it's that diverse. And so, or maybe like they're just not willing to try or to see that things aren't necessarily the way they think it's supposed to be. And the example I'm going to use is like, when people think of Asian food here, they don't like, they won't even say they'll be like Chinese food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's like 80 other kinds of Asian, my guy or girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then they're like, oh, like people will still come in to Pinch and be like, you guys have like sesame chicken here? And I'm not upset because I get it. Like they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, dang, like that's still where we are. Like where we are.
Yeah.
And if you charge a certain price for Asian food, they're like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Like I could get this at some Asian buffet, and I'm like, well, how's it? In my mind, I'm like, how's it any different than New American food or whatever? Like it's steak and potatoes, but you can charge $30 for this, so that I think that's the hill that we're still kind of climbing. But I will say, like, as the city grows and becomes more diverse and more young people are moving here, that needle is moving forward. Like there are a lot of people that kind of mess with the vision and they get it and they don't, they actually put us on, which is great. And the best part is, like, I think we've also garnered the trust of a lot of people so that before they might be afraid to try these flavors, but because we've given it in a more approachable way, that they're willing to try new stuff from us that they may have never tried before.
Yeah.
We've seen that in downtown a lot. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like flavors and foods and dishes, staples that are comfortable and common for you. And maybe in like Houston or in other regions in San Antonio is seen as like an adventurous thing.
Yeah.
It's like, let me try that.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, let's go exotic today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or just normal, maybe.
Yeah. Do you have to do anything like how do you educate people on what this is? Like, do you have to take like different approaches to like your menu or photos or?
I mean, so like the way, I don't know how everyone else does it, but the way we did it, it worked for us. I mean, some people might say we kind of like sold out, but whatever. We found a way to put things on the menu that are obviously less traditional, but still had some elements of what we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So like, yo, do people know what fried chicken is? Yes. Right. But do you know what Korean like gochujang sauce is? Probably not. But if we call it Korean buffalo sauce, like you're gonna try it because you're familiar with what buffalo sauce, the concept of what that is. And so we were like, okay, if we put that in like a rice bowl, that's an approachable way to get some Asian flavors while still being like relatable
and
like,
approachable.
Exactly. And they could get that. And then from there, if you eat that enough and you realize like, oh, okay, maybe I can trust these guys, then we can do like Laotian pop-ups or Filipino pop-ups or like, and then have like full on authentic traditional, like meals or items. And I think that was like a really cool thing to see. Like they were starting to embrace that. They started at, hey, would you have any specials today? Like, what kind of pork belly do you know? So like, I think that was really cool for sure.
Can we shout out Cap real quick? Dude,
the one, the only Cap.
Who's Cap? Tell everyone who Cap is.
Cap is actually, a lot of people probably won't know this, man. He's one of the most talented chefs that like around. I mean, this dude has been about the hustle. He's been grinding for years. And so he's our chef. He's our executive chef. And he came up with a bunch of the stuff on the menu. So he's Laotian as well. He's from Laos. And so a lot of his influence is like Northern Thai, kind of that, Laotian cuisine. And so we try to inject that into a lot of our flavors. And I think like what's cool is he has that intensely traditional, authentic background. And then Andrew and I have this very like Americanized version of growing up too. I mean, we all are. He's Asian American too, but I think us more so in the sense that we've probably eaten more traditionally American food than he has.
Yeah.
And so like we're able to kind of marry those two flavors together in a fun way that I think is great for this city. And like it might not work as much, to be fair, in like in Austin or New York, because maybe like they're looking for that more traditionally authentic like vibe. But I think in San Antonio it works out really well because we're like right on the cusp of these people discovering these flavors. And so I think we're like in a really good spot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Shout out Cap.
Yeah, for sure. And also just like one of the kindest dudes.
He's awesome.
Just like walking down Houston Street, he's just, hey, what's up, dude? Like, hey, I'm like, man, not a lot of people know that dude's the legend.
He's a real one. I mean, Cap's curry, one of the most popular items at our menu.
Yeah.
Named after him. It's his curry.
And that's like if we talk about the curry with Curry Boys Barbecue, honestly, I didn't know how that was going to go.
I know, me neither.
Because, I mean, there's already this pretty heavy debate in the barbecue world on like putting any kind of sauce on your barbecue.
Yeah.
But like
we haven't talked about that's hilarious. You said
that, I mean, but actually like putting meat in like a bowl of curry and like a lot of curry. I even remember personal story. I brought brisket one time. And you gave me some curry, and you were like, "Dude, put this on; it'd be good." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do that."
You immediately tossed it.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that for sure." But I ended up doing it, and it was so good. And but if I didn't have you telling me, and like you're a friend of mine,
right? And
if I didn't have you telling me, like, "Hey, you should try this," I don't know that I would have ordered a brisket curry bowl, honestly, you know what I mean? Because it's not something that I think I would have
for sure
enjoyed, but I had that. Then Curry Boys Barbecue opened, and I'm all about it, dude. Brisket smoke show, the Good Luck Club. I'll get them
thank
all,
you.
dude. I
All
love
day,
them all. So how was that? Like, did y'all have to deal with any of those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest like hesitation we had was, I think unfortunately there's this like stigma around what curry is supposed to be. And people are like, I don't like curry, because they just think it's this one version. Like, I don't know where this version of curry comes from, because
Wendy's.
Oh my god.
Is their off menu special?
Yeah.
Hey, have you had the curry at Wendy's?
The dead stock thing?
Fire, dude.
Fire.
I mean, shoot, I would try it. I would try
But anyway, people have this idea
of curry, and they're like, I don't like it.
It's like it's like saying I don't like soup because
Yeah.
there's so many different kinds.
But that's what people don't get. And I'm glad you brought that up. Is like, yo, like there's so much. But curry is effectively just another word for like spices or a sauce, or like that's just what people like. That's just the word that defines a particular region's like particular spice mix or sauce mix or whatever you want to call it. Like that's what curry is. And so I think, but that's the common misconception is like, oh, Indian curry. And I'm like, look, I think the reason why Indian curry gets unfortunately a bad rap is because it's just there's a lot of strong flavors. I think it's amazing. I crave Indian curry, and there's also like so many kinds of Indian curry. But I was like, I crave that like big time. But I think that people are a little afraid or overwhelmed when they think of the word curry because it's like, ooh, it's strong. It's really strong. But I mean, like we use like Southeast Asian curries, which are heavy in coconut milk, like heavy in aromatics and herbs and stuff like that. So I think it's a little more it works really well with like smoky flavors. And so we just thought that it's less of like a sauce, even though I'll say that so people can understand it. And it's more just like almost like a stew kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Because we were like, yeah, we're gonna get heavy backlash if it's like, yo, we're putting sauce on brisket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I thought, man, to be honest, because it's like that's a bold move. Especially I didn't even think about the curry side of it, how like there's a stigma behind it, and people are like, oh, I don't know if I like curry.
Yeah.
The same side with barbecue. Yeah. Or like, oh, I don't put sauce on barbecue. Or I only eat barbecue with sauce. Or if you need like sauce, it's not good enough.
Both parts of it, two parts of it are like people love it one way or the other, and the same on the other side, and then bringing them both together. It's like, well, who knows what's gonna happen?
Just blowing everybody's mind and like breaking all of these culinary rules. But it works so well.
And then it's in like this bright pink building with a palm tree. And
yes, sir.
It's a vibe, dude.
I mean, look, I can't take full credit for the curry barbecue idea. We were inspired by the spot in Portland called Eam, and they had this dish with a white curry and like brisket burn ends from Matt's Barbecue, which is like a super, you might know Matt's Barbecue. It's a pretty popular spot. He's a Texas guy, I think.
Nice.
But we were like, oh man. And there's also like a pop-up in Houston called Koi Barbecue, and they've done like a dish before with curry. And so we were like, man, what if we just did an entire concept? Because I know like personally, I think green curry goes great with brisket. But I was like, what if we just saw all the different kinds of curries with all different kinds of smoked meats and see which paired the best, and we'll make a full concept out of that. And I think like, so I can't take full credit for that.
I mean, you can. You can on Geekdom Underground podcast. You can.
Sure.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I always envisioned it as like someone had a bunch of bowls of like, the curry sauce, and then someone had like some to-go boxes with a bunch of brisket, and then they were walking. Yeah, and they ran into
the
each
origin
other.
story.
Yeah, and then it all mixed together.
The origin story.
You got curry on my brisket. You got brisket in my curry, and then they ate it.
And they were like, let's try it.
Yeah,
let me feed you.
That was the origin story, dude. But that'll come out later.
There's gonna be a movie. I think it's getting picked up by the Marvel.
the MCU, bro.
I think so.
Yeah.
Cinematic universe. Yeah, I think so.
Who's gonna play John?
Oh,
George Clooney.
Who says John's in the movie?
I know, right? I'm the director.
Who's gonna play Liquid?
yeah. Liquid water.
Soundtrack though.
Dude, I'll get the wig out real quick. You can dust it off.
Well, Sean, it's been a pleasure, man. I really enjoyed having you on here. I mean, we hang out outside, but it's been awesome to have you in this capacity. and be here as a guest. We won't hang out anymore. But it was great to have you here as a guest, man.
Thank you, man. Honored to be here for real. Thank you. I love y'all. I really do.
Dude, yeah, this is nothing but love.
Nothing but love. You know.
Love Fest 20 monthly fest.
Dude, yeah.
Y'all need to go watch that video.
Watch the video.
Love Fest 2015.
Let's talk about one last thing,
All right,
Sean,
cool.
if you would. When you let's think back to before your trip, after you told Andrew you're about a week away from throwing in the towel. What advice would you give an entrepreneur in those shoes, or what advice do you wish somebody would have given you?
Okay, I can give you short answers for both. I think the first one, like what I would say is like, I think it's important to not run away from those feelings of like, I think we're I mean, like you always the old adage is like, oh, like just keep going. And like I had mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like if you're doing it the wrong way, then you shouldn't keep going. Or like you should in your head have a point where it's like, it seems right to press eject and to leave. And like that should always be an option on the table. Like you should never force yourself to just put yourself through that. Cause like that's just not healthy.
Yeah.
I would tell everyone that, you know, like don't be afraid to in the moment be like, this just may not be for me, or like I've really put in the amount of work that I thought I should have put in and it didn't happen. Like if you want to keep going, sure, ask yourself if you're doing it the right way. Then if you don't, like that's okay.
Yeah,
you can definitely eject at any moment. I think that notion really helped me, like put me at peace. I was like, you know what, like it's fine. We tried it. Like that was the whole reason we tried it.
Yeah.
The other one, I wish what someone would have told me is get a lawyer. There's a lot of shit that happens out there. And I think like sound legal advice goes a very long way.
Yeah.
Or even just like bouncing like something as simple as like a lease. Like, hey, can you just read this real quick and make sure, are there any red flag? Whatever it might be. But like, yeah, I would definitely get a lawyer. Like,
that's such great advice.
Yeah. I did, because you know that's just not my bag. Like I don't never would have thought to think about that. But
yeah. And you have so much else to think about.
Yeah.
As most entrepreneurs or founders do. And it's an easy oversight that can have a lot of damage.
Extraordinary amounts of damage.
Like your check engine light.
Yeah. Really. And you're like, no, I'll just keep driving to Dallas. What? Don't do that.
We should be good. Well, right on, Sean. Thank you again so much. And Mr. JRG, if you would, sir, take us home.
For sure. So this was a great episode. Had a lot of fun with you, Sean. How do people find out more about Pinge Boil House and Curry Boys?
Man, give us a follow on that gram, Pinge Boil House, or at Curry Boys Barbecue, Curry Boys BBQ. Other than that, man, if you see me in the streets, holla.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been a great time. We'll see y'all next week. As always, appreciate y'all.
Bye, everybody.